Guys, so this is my YouTube channel. For this first video, I'm going to tell you guys my story. Hopefully it'll inspire some of you guys and show you what I've been through. And if I can get through it, obviously you guys can. I have faith in you guys. Going back to second grade, I was just feeling really gross, and actually it was really random because I felt fine one day and the next morning I woke up and I had these sharp stomach pains. Apparently I was bleeding for a while. My stools were had blood in them, but I didn't know it. I was having diarrhea. Sorry if this is a little graphic for you, but that's basically what Crohn's disease is. And if you have Crohn's disease or colitis, you obviously know this. So I told my parents, I'm not going to school today. I don't feel good. They thought I was joking. But they let me stay home. And my dad took me to the doctor. And when we got to the doctor, my mom was at school because she teaches. She was a preschool teacher at this time. And my doctor told us basically that we had to go to the emergency room because I was bleeding and there was nothing that the doctor could do, so I had to go to the emergency room. So we called my mom and she met us at the hospital. We went to the emergency room, and we did not go to a children's hospital because at that time our insurance went to another hospital, which wasn't the children's hospital. So I was there and they did not know how to handle me at all. They pushed my parents out of the room, told them that they were not allowed in there while they were doing the tests. They were very rude to me and I had no idea what was going on. I was screaming at the top of my lungs. I was just very scared. I thought I was going to die. 8-year-old thinking she's going to die. Yeah, that's the sight to see. They brought in like 3 big machines and hooked me up to all of them. I was screaming at the top of my lungs. At this point, my parents were not in the room with me. They were not telling me what they were doing because apparently they thought that would help, but I wanted to know everything that was happening at that point. But they would not tell me what was going on. So finally, the night of midnight of my birthday, I was burning up. My temperature was like 105 or something like that. The doctor came in with wet washcloths, tried to cool me down, and he's like, you have ulcerative colitis. And my parents were very confused. They're like, what is that? I've never heard of that before. So the doctors explained, and they basically told me that I had to have my whole colon removed, my whole large intestine removed, otherwise there was a possibility that I could die. My surgery was after I turned 9 in the summer when I turned 9, so it was about a year and a half later. I don't know why they waited that long. I really don't know. The surgery was basically removing my whole entire colon. So I have no colon right now. And they put my small intestine, they made an ileostomy on my stomach right here, where my small intestine was, right here, and put a bag over it. And that's basically how I went to the bathroom for a couple months. I was scheduled to have a takedown surgery, which is basically where they reconstruct the small intestine into something called a J-pouch, so I can use the bathroom normally and I don't have to have a bag. But between June and September, when those 2 surgeries, June was my first surgery, September was supposed to be my second surgery. In between those times, I had 4 additional surgeries. For complications, I remember one of those nights was the 4th of July. My family was at the fireworks, and I started to have really sharp pains again, and something was going wrong, so they rushed me to the emergency room, and I'm pretty sure that was the start of the complications. I think I had 2 before my takedown surgery and 2 emergency surgeries after. But basically, within those 4 surgeries, I was internally bleeding. I needed 2 blood transfusions. I had 16 IVs in myself. They ran out of veins on my arms. I had a PICC line, a central line. I even have a couple scars from where I had IVs, but they ran out of veins, but they had to go to my feet and put in IVs there. I had a breathing tube because I couldn't breathe on my own. I was in the ICU for 2 weeks. My parents were so afraid. I was in the 5% that get misdiagnosed, and they said that I had a 5% chance of living. Look at me today. I'm here. I was on TPN, which is a feeding device that goes through an IV so that you can be fed. I was not allowed to eat or drink anything except to water. I was on TPN. I had a breathing tube. At one point I had a tube that down my throat that fed me food. I had tubes coming out of my stomach after my complications, and this was before Thanksgiving and Christmas, and basically I told my mom all I wanted to do for Christmas was to be able to eat, because I couldn't eat anything or drink anything. So after all those tubes and everything came out of me, I developed a fistula, which is basically a hole in the body, right here where my belly button is. I had that for about a year and a half, I believe. It was very painful. It wasn't painful, but basically there was stool coming out of it, and we didn't know what to do. So we went to the doctor, and they basically said, we're going to try you on Remicade, which is a common treatment for Crohn's and colitis patients. So they tried me on Remicade. It helped it didn't close it, but it helped contain it and control it for about 2 weeks at a time, and then it would just start opening up again, and it was really gross. So I basically put gauze on it, and I had to change it every so often because it was so nasty. Finally, after about 5 or 6 Remicade treatments, the doctors came to us and they're like, we have this new drug, it's newly produced, so you guys are one of the first people to try it. It's called Entocort. So I tried it, and within about a month the fistula was closed, and since then I was in remission for about 7 years, which is pretty cool. And then about 2 years ago, when I was in South Dakota, I started having another flare-up. I was on a mission trip with my church, and I started having another flare-up, so I had to come home on day 2, which was great. Not really. But I came home, and I had a Bartholin's gland abscess, which I'm not going to go into too much detail about that because that's not really Crohn's related, but because of the Crohn's disease, I'm immune to a lot of antibiotics, so any antibiotics that they put me on wouldn't work for it. So eventually I started developing another fistula, and I'm not going to go into too much detail about that either because it's kind of personal. This is an ongoing thing right now. I don't really feel comfortable sharing too much about it until it's done. But basically, I developed another fistula, and they've tried to close it, but they're afraid to because Crohn's disease people with Crohn's disease develop fistulas often, and so they're just trying to keep it open for now to prevent me from having 3 or 4 fistulas. They just want 1 for right now. So I'm going to a specialist up in Chicago on Monday to seek further treatment, and I'm going to for sure update you guys after that. So that's basically my story. It is an ongoing struggle, I can tell you that. But I've gotten through it, and if I can get through it, I'm sure you guys can. So I'd love to hear your guys' stories. Feel free to comment or post a video for me to watch, and I'll make sure to watch them or read your responses. Post your responses. Thanks.